I'm Ashley Godwin, joined by the candidates for position 9 at-large City Director of Little Rock, Director Antwan Phillips, and Mr. Jordan Thomas. Thank you for being here and joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I'm going to start off with Director Phillips. This was your first term. Just describe your most notable achievements since you were elected City Director.
It's a great question, Ashley. I think it's an honor, I know. It's been an honor and a privilege to represent my hometown, someone who was born and built in the city of Little Rock. I understood the responsibility of giving back to the city that gave so much to me. Someone asked me this question earlier today, and I gave twofold answer. One is a conceptual answer, which is I think people are more engaged in city government. In the past 4 years, there are a number of people who felt shut out, who now have access and they feel a part of the process. And I think I had something to do with that. So I'm excited to be a part of that. And I think there are a number of things that we can talk about today I'm happy that I've been a part of as a member of the Little Rock City Board for the past 4 years. But number one was in 2020, when we were dealing with COVID and the race riots and the George Floyd situation. There was a lot of conversation about taking the care of disadvantaged communities. And in the fall of 2020, the city board tried to pass a targeted community development initiative to allocate resources for certain parts of town that needed it the most. That failed in the fall of 2020. So when I was elected in November 2020, the first thing I did, literally, was to sponsor that ordinance, work with my colleagues to make sure that it got passed. And it got passed in February of 2021, where we now have allocated millions of dollars to neighborhoods that need it the most: Southwest Little Rock, South End, 12th Street area, and the John Barrow corridor. So being able to do that right out the bat and to let people know that I grew up with in this city, that we care about them and we see them and they're being heard, I was excited to do that. Hopefully I can talk about more, but those are the things that come to mind about what I've been excited to be a part of over the first 3 years of my elected service.
Mr. Thomas, I'm going to ask you the same question, but also you are from Georgia. You moved here in 2016, so describe what brought you to this election where you wanted to run for a city director position.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's usually the first one that pops up. But as you said, I'm from Georgia. I'm from a small town near Athens, where I went to University of Georgia, graduated with a degree in agriculture business in 2011, and that brought me to the Louisiana Delta, and that's when I really got familiar with Little Rock. The company I work for had a district office here, but we traveled here and eventually got an opportunity to move here in 2016 to take a job, and been here ever since. In fact, that was about a few weeks ago was my 8-year anniversary. So met my wife here. She's from El Dorado originally, but she went to UAMS and she's a NICU nurse here at UAMS. She did some travel nursing as well after college, and so she's been all over the country. I've been all over the South and the Delta, and we really just wanted to call Little Rock our home. We've got 2 boys, almost a 5-year-old and a 4-month-old, so very, very busy at the house right now, but we're really enjoying it. And again, this is where we go to church. This is where we play t-ball, and we kind of joke that Little Rock's a small, big town where you can be as anonymous as you want to be, while at the same time you can be out at a restaurant and see 3 or 4 people that you know. So we love that about it. We love the community feel, the kind of the small town feel, but still big city things going on. And that's what really drove me to run in the first place. I do think that we really got to take the next step forward as far as seeing some progress. I know we've really struggled to handle basic city services like trash pickup and yard waste pickup, and putting a dent in crime and things of that nature. So that's really why I wanted to get involved and try to make a positive impact.
Perfect. We're going to move on to our first point of discussion, which is crime, and that has been a big topic of concern for Little Rock and people who live here, work here. I'm going to ask both of you the same question, which is that was your top issue for both of you in your campaigns from what I read. So how do we continue to see a decrease in crime in Little Rock? How do we further those policies? What would you plan on implementing if you were either reelected or elected? I will start with you, Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was actually pretty fortunate to be endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police, a great organization. They're doing a lot with a little. And I would say really the first issue that I would take a look at is the vacancy savings as far as how we, kind of budget our funds. I think we're short like 66 officers right now, and we're allocated for about 600, whereas, other cities comparable are, anywhere from 800 to 1,000 officers allocated. But I would say that, the vacancy savings issue is, you kind of count on those roles not being filled, those officers not being hired on, and that money that would go to pay their salaries ends up in other parts of the budget. So I would certainly like to kind of address that and get the police force up to 100%. Also, we've got these quarterly safety meetings and in each precinct. And so I would like to certainly see those be more accessible and well attended. I think we used to stream them during COVID, and I would like to bring that back because I think those are great opportunities for really education and community outreach, where we can really have a conversation on, what criminals are doing, what the trends are, who are they targeting and where and when and how, and really try to kind of prevent becoming a crime in the first place, prevent becoming a victim. So I think that's one way to approach it. Also, reaching out to more community officers. The Southwest neighborhood does a great job as far as hosting a community officer at all their meetings. And so all the other neighborhood meetings I go to, I don't really see that as much. So again, they're good with that community outreach and educating the citizens on what's going on, what they're seeing month over month. So we'd certainly like to see all that. Also, the issue with the abandoned houses. We've got like 500 something plus abandoned lots all throughout Little Rock, mostly south of 630. Those are definitely hotbeds for criminal activity. And I would love to see us be able to kind of streamline that process and getting those turned around, working with, the city attorney, working with code and, planning and public works and developers in the neighborhoods, and really just turning those houses around, because that would really kind of, rising tides lift all boats, and that would really help those neighborhoods out and really help the city out. So those would be my main goals. I would say, right now, crime ultimately is down, about 2%, I would say, over the 5-year average, which the 12th Street precinct is kind of the main factor there, which is great. It's great to see, again, the police force is kind of doing a lot with a little. Unfortunately, out west, like Northwest, I want to say we're up about 1% against the 5-year average, and I think up 4% for Southwest. The River Market, I think assaults are up like 70% year over year. So, there's certainly some issues there that we really gotta address. So,
Director Phillips.
Yeah. So I appreciate the question, and there's a lot of ways to answer that. Number one, we had a press conference today with the chief of police and the mayor, and we're talking about the strides we've made to reduce crime in our city. Homicides are down, I think 28% year over year, 33% over 5-year average. Overall, crime is down 4%. I was standing beside the chief at the press conference today. I'm not sure where Mr. Thomas got his numbers from, but from what I was told at the press conference, the crime is down across the board throughout the city, which is great. That means we're moving in the right direction. This is personal to me. As someone who grew up in the city of Little Rock, and I'm pausing because it is personal, it's emotional. I've been a victim of crime. I had 2 brothers who were murdered in this city in the 90s and then one in 07. So I know how that impacts families, siblings. I know how significant that is to families. So I'm committed to making sure people don't go through what me and my family went through as it relates to crime. And in that regard, if you look at my voting record over the past 3 years, I voted in favor of the $1 million to go towards a real-time crime center, which has helped reduce crime. I voted in favor of increasing the sign-on bonuses for our police officers from 5,000 to 10,000, which increased the number of officers we have. And then I voted again to keep that going this year as it relates to our officers. So we are definitely moving in the right direction, but it's just not a police thing. This is a citywide thing. This is an issue where we need to continue to invest through our prevention, intervention, and treatment dollars, which we increased through our ARPA funding 2 years ago, to reach out to the nonprofits, the agencies that are working with youth to make sure that they have opportunities. That means increasing our summertime youth employment program in the city to make sure that our youth have something to do and be gainfully employed. And on top of that is making sure we have jobs for people to have in our economy, which is doing great here in the city of Little Rock. We've created over 11,000 jobs since I've been elected. So it's a holistic approach. It's just not a police thing. And if you talk to the chief or the assistant chiefs, they would tell you this is a citywide thing, and we all need to work together to make that happen. So I've been a supportive of public safety throughout my 3 years on the board. I did not seek the endorsement of the FOP, but if you look at my record, you will see that I am serious about crime reduction because one crime is one too many. And as a person who grew up in Little Rock through the 90s, I know what it's like when Little Rock was bad and people felt unsafe. We're not there anymore, and we're going in the right direction. And that's part of the reason why I'm running for re-election, because I want to continue that movement.
Perfect. I'm going to move on now to the economy. And according to our THV 11 election survey, 95% of Arkansas voters say the economy is important to them. And I know that both of you address that in your campaigns. So I'm going to start with Director Phillips. How will you continue to make sure Little Rock has an economic advantage for people working and living here?
Absolutely. I guess I kind of led into that with my last answer, because all these things work together, Ashley, and nothing is siloed, right? And once you're in office, you get to see how one thing affects another thing. And I've had the privilege to do that for the past 3 years. What we've done has created a pretty robust economy here in the Central Arkansas. According to the Chamber, we have over 370,000 people employed in Central Arkansas, which is a record, never before in the history of the state. We created over 11,000 jobs over the past 3 years. That's a record. Unemployment in the city of Little Rock is around 3%. We have over $2 billion, that's with a B, capital investment in our city. We're going in the right direction. And I think the leadership we have now understands that, and that's why things are moving in the right direction. What we can continue to do that I want to focus on is continue to support what's happening out at the Little Rock Port Authority, where we're becoming a manufacturing city, where people can have good high-paying jobs without going to college. We're already a healthcare city with UAMS and Baptist and St. Vincent. Little Rock we're becoming the city we all thought we could be through our economic achievements. What else we can do that I think is important for people in the city of Little Rock, and something I'm currently working on with folks at the port and at the chamber, is more workforce training. Because we bring all these companies here because they love Little Rock. They know it's a great place to do business, it's a great place for their workers to live, but we got to make sure we have enough workers for them. So we're working on some workforce training to make sure that our students are prepared for the real world, and that's through the academies, through all the high schools in Little Rock, have different academies that prepare them for life after high school. We're trying to plan some, again, workforce training with the port and Pulaski Tech, where we get, welding, some of those manufacturing type jobs in place where people are ready to take these jobs when they come in. Because the businesses are coming to Little Rock. The secret is out. It's a good place to do business. And I think, again, we're moving in the right direction. And as a current city board member, I've been supportive multiple times of making sure that companies want to come to our city. And not only want to come here, but making it a city that their workers want to live in. So now we're talking about quality of life issues. And we're not just talking about better economic opportunities, but better recreational options and better neighborhoods. Those are the things that we're working on that can support the Little Rock economy. I think we've done a great job of that. Little Rock is close to being what it can be. We're not there yet, but we're on our way. And if I'm elected, I will continue that work.
Mr. Thomas, on your election page, you said, quote, "A fresh set of eyes on how we spend taxpayer money is needed." So describe how that fits into your plan if you are elected.
Well, yeah, it's a great question. And, I think that the city budget right now is pretty balanced. I think we're sitting on around $330 million every year. And, even a slight surplus, I want to say maybe by a couple $1 million. But, I would say that, my big focus again after public safety being infrastructure and, sanitation. And I really feel like if we can get back to those basics, and really kind of spend our money on fixing the roads, fixing the drainage, things of that nature, then I think we can really see a lot of improvement. I would say that the downtown master plan, for example, I think it's certainly a great idea, and it's a lot of lofty goals. I think that's something that's certainly worth working towards. But at the end of the day, I mean, it may be putting the cart before the horse, so to speak, because I mean, we're already about $1.5 million in the hole on just spending it on the consultants. It was about $750,000 that we spent to get the plan in the first place, and now it's another $750,000 to plan on the I-30 overpass park. So it's $1.5 million right there that we're already in, and then the estimates are really uncertain of how much we could potentially spend on the downtown plan to actually execute it. Somebody's floated hundreds of millions of dollars. So, not that it will ultimately cost that much, but, I would say if we could kind of spend those funds more towards, cleaning up downtown and, getting the streets fixed and the sidewalks and getting everything cleaned up and, kind of addressing those needs first before we kind of go that route. That's kind of what I mean by, maybe reassessing things.
Can I respond to that, Ashley? And I appreciate Mr. Thomas' response, but as it relates to our financials, fresh set of eyes, we have an auditor to check our books every year. We won a number of awards. You can go to the cityoflittlerock.gov and see the awards that we won for having a balanced budget in the city of Little Rock. But more importantly, one thing that he said that stood out to me is that he said it seems kind of lofty. As someone who grew up here, I want it to be lofty. I want us to be aspirational about what Little Rock can be and not just be, what it is. We can do two things at once. We have talented people here. We have people who care about our city, who grew up here, who want to see it become more than what it's been. So I'm proud to be a part of the lofty goals for the city of Little Rock with the downtown master plan. As it relates to that $1.5 million, what's important for Mr. Thomas and the public to know is that was part of ARPA funding that we got from the federal government that allowed us to invest in things that we wouldn't normally would in our normal budget. So there was an opportunity for us to be lofty. And that's exactly what we have with the downtown master plan. For too long, Little Rock has been a city that it is what it is. And people have always kind of talked down and lowered the expectations for my city that I grew up in. I don't live like that. My campaign motto, my life slogan is to believe in better. And I believe in a better Little Rock. And that means setting high expectations and working to make them happen. It's not to lower the bar for the city, it's to raise the bar and say, let's do the work to make those things happen. And you make those things happen by agreeing to a downtown master plan and then doing the work to make sure that those things come to fruition. For example, one thing that I'm currently working on, I'm the chair of the Downtown Density Committee. So we work closely with the group Sasaki and the local architects to develop the downtown master plan. And we're working on an ordinance to make it more suitable for builders and developers to come do some of the things in the master plan. We want downtown Little Rock to be everyone's neighborhood. We want it to be a place where everyone comes, and no matter what your interests are, what type of food you like to eat, you can go to downtown and make those things happen. So that's what we want in the city, I believe, as someone who grew up here, and that's what we're working towards. So I think that's important to point out.
We're going to move on to final remarks, and we're going to start with Mr. Thomas since Director Phillips began for our opening remarks.
Absolutely. No, well, again, I appreciate you having us tonight. I'm glad it could work out, that we could get together. I just want to say that, I do agree with Director Phillips that, Little Rock has a lot of potential at the end of the day. And I think we got a lot of work to do in order to achieve it. I think we could see a lot of growth here over the next 10, 20, 30 years. We're an attractive place to be. And, like you said, though, we do have to put the work in, and we got to do that now and lay the foundation. So if we're going to take that step forward. So if that's something that you want to see happen for Little Rock, then I just ask that you give my vote for me, Jordan Thomas, on November the 5th. And thank you and God bless.
Director Phillips.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to the city of Little Rock. As I said at the beginning, it's been a privilege and honor to represent all 210,000 people in this city. I think it's important for people to know, as someone who graduated from McClellan High School who went off to college and came back here and went to law school, that I believe in Little Rock because Little Rock believed in me. And when I was 13 years old, my mom took me shopping at TJ Maxx, actually, and bought me a tie-dye tie and some olive green pants because we were preparing to go to the winter formal. Second 9 weeks of junior high, I had a 3.8 GPA, which, in case anyone was wondering, that's pretty good. But then the third 9 weeks, we got our report card right before the dance. And my mom stopped me and she said, "You're not going to the dance." She said, "Your grades are dropping." My grades dropped to a 3.6. So I didn't go to the dance that year. And that was in February 1997. In May of 1997, my mama passed away due to cervical cancer. She knew she was sick in February of 97, and that was my last real memory of her other than her being in the hospital. And it took me years to realize what she was teaching me at the time, but what she was teaching me is to believe in better. Don't expect anything less. She was teaching me that better is attainable if you put the work in. So that's how I lived my life. That's how you go from growing up in Southwest Little Rock, graduate from McClellan, going to Bowdoin College, and becoming a partner at Wright, Lindsey & Jennings Law Firm. That's how I was successful in 2020 in being elected as the youngest member of Little Rock City Board of Directors. And that's how I want to continue to represent the city of Little Rock. When you believe in something, you work for it. I believe Little Rock is on the precipice of being the city we all think it can be. So I'm gonna work to make it happen. And I have worked to make it happen over the past 4 years. We created better neighborhoods. I led the charge on the Renters' Rights Ordinance, which was the first time in the state's history, literally the state's history, to have a Renters' Rights Ordinance for tenants to protect them against slumlords. We created better economic opportunities that we talked about today. And we created better recreational options here in the city of Little Rock. We've brought the Hall, which is a concert venue. We initiated River Market Live, which are free concerts downtown in the River Market. If you drive downtown on the weekends when the weather's nice, you'll see a pedal pub going around town. That's something else that I led the charge on to make Little Rock a fun place that we can all be proud of. Again, I believe in the city. The city believed in me. I'm gonna work to continue to make sure that it can be all that it can be. And for that reason, I'm asking every person who can vote in the city of Little Rock to select Antwan Phillips. When you go vote, starting on October 21st, an early vote, and on November 5th on Election Day. I believe in better. I know our city does too. And with that unity in our city, we'll continue to move forward as we have been doing over the past 4 years.
Thank you both so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.